Good morning, I'm Katie Pertiet, and this morning we're going to go over how to use some blendable layers. There's a free download in the comments below where you can download these free blendable layers, and we'll show you how to get started with them. You see here, we've got, this is what the preview looks like, and when you get a pack of blendable layers, you get a background paper, and you get a composite paper, and then you get all the elements used to create the composite paper to create your own page. Now, there's a few ways you can do this. And we're going to start with a way that Sarah has shown in our previous tips, and that is to go up to File, Import, File, Scripts, Load Files into Stack. And then you're going to locate your Blendable Layers files. And you're going to click the base all the way up to 1 by holding down the Shift key. And click Open. And click OK. And you'll see it spinning. It's slowly, it's going to add every single layer. It's a nice way to kind of go through and see all the different elements, because some of the elements are a little bit hidden by various paints and such, so you can see all the different things that you have to work with. One of the great things about blendable layers is you don't have to use them the way they're provided. You could just, like, if you really like this scroll, you could just grab out this scroll and put it in a page, or the watery washes and the botanicals and butterflies. They can all just be part of different projects. They don't have to create this composition. And if you don't like this composition, you are free to change it around however you like. So this way works pretty good. I noticed a couple of glitches where some of the layers aren't placed quite in the appropriate order, but you can see by the numbers on the layers the order that they're supposed to be in. So you can see we went from 1 to 10. Probably if I had labeled it 0, 1, maybe it would have come in more correctly. But if we go up here and we go 1, and then we can move 2, and you can move 3, and you can play around to get it however you'd like it to be. Another way to work with these blendable layers is a way that Jana actually showed me that I thought was super cool. And we're gonna just minimize this one for right now. And I'm going to take and create a new document. Or actually, you know what, I'm gonna start with the base. So let's open the base. And we've got the base here. Now I'm gonna take layers 1 through 23, and I'm gonna just drag them into my document. And you see that layer 1 there, and then I'm gonna hit enter, and layer 2 comes up, enter. So you're going to keep going through this process until you have all 23 layers in your file. You can see they're a little backwards because we've got layer number 1, which is your top layer, on the bottom, but we'll fix that in just a minute. All right, we've got all 23 here now. So holding down the Shift key, going down to layer 1, go up to Layers, Arrange, and Reverse. And quickly, swiftly, it switches them all around. And you've got all of your layers to work with here. One of the ways that I generally build these blendable layers is so that a photo can easily be blended into them. So this white area you see here, that's where I envision a photo going. So if I click on that layer and then I open my photo, and take my photo, drag it into the layout, scale it and position it, and then go to create clipping mask, and then it nicely clips to the layer below. And you could have the layout finished just like this if you wanted to. And there's a lot of other things you can do. And when I've made the composite page, a lot of times I have used blend modes on those elements. So for instance, the map layer here, you can see that this is the map layer. I like to go with a color burn. Can you see it there? It's very slightly, just to give it a hint of texture. You know, when they're the colors, they're a little dark, a little heavy, like this one here, the flowers. Those might look nicer on a color burn or maybe a color dodge. And it's a little lighter, can reduce your opacity, and just kind of customize the page to how you want it to be. One of the things I did in my page was I also colorized some of the items because I didn't want the yellow to overshadow my photo. So I took that layer of the botanicals and I do an image adjust. And you know why it's not allowing me to do replace colors? Because this technique brings everything in as a smart object. So I'll need to make it not a smart object. And the way I always quickly do it is I make a layer below, select there, and then I merge them, and then it's normal. So we'll go to image, adjust, replace color, click on the yellow, click on the plus eyedropper to pick other shades of the yellow. And then I'm going to go to a color that's kind of like the river water that we're in for this photo. And then that kind of brings it down a little bit. And I would go in and also do this with all the other colors. So I will show you my final page in a minute. But another thing I wanted to mention is, I don't know if you're aware of this, but with a smart object, you know, sometimes you bring in an item and it's kind of small. And if you scale it up in Photoshop, it can get a little pixelized and bitmappy and just doesn't look as crisp for final prints. Well, with a smart object, you can scale it. Oops, that's not scaling. You can scale it to any level, just almost like a vector, and it will retain the resolution, which is a super cool thing and allows you to go bigger with items. So like a good example of this would be the butterfly. The type didn't show so well. But if we take our butterfly, and I distorted him there, darn it. Let's take him again. We will undo that, okay. And let's see, we're scaling him way up. And he's not bitmapping on us at all. So that's kind of a neat little trick that I picked up. That's nice if you're going to take a small object and you want it to be much larger on your page. Just go over to the side and convert it to a smart object. And you'll see this little icon in the corner and you'll have your smart object. All right, so another thing that I wanted to show you, and again, I think we're gonna have an issue because they are smart objects, we'll see. Yeah. You know what, let's go back and we'll use this version. Okay. So keep in mind, you don't have to use the colors as they're provided or any of the elements as they're provided. Let's say this yellow isn't quite what you want. Maybe you want to go with a green. I don't know if you've seen one of Sarah's recent tips on how easy it is to recolor a layer. On a Mac, if you hold down Shift and Option, and hit delete, it will change that layer to your foreground color. One of the great things is it also will change anything that's outside of the bounding area of the page as well, which is a great little technique. And this really helps to save time and make your editing really fast. So if you see how easily you can change the look of your page. And let's say I even want this background to be different. I'm going to go in here and I'm going to color it. And I can reduce the opacity a little bit. Go to that map, see how a color burn looks with that green. Maybe we want to go color burn and then go Command M or Image Adjust Curves. Go here and I'm going to darken it by dragging down. I always go where the arch is the strongest and then I drag from there. And I'm dragging down so it's a little bit darker. You can see it a little bit better now. And we've got these here, which are the leaves. And we'll do a color burn again. Go up and drag it down. And see how we're really softening the look. And if we go back in here and recolor the big flower, okay, when you see that I still have some of the yellow that really didn't get picked up, that means you want to go back to your eyedropper tool with the plus and click on that part. And there it'll pick up the rest of the image and recolor it. And maybe even down in here too. You can also increase your fuzziness, but sometimes that recolors areas that you may not necessarily want to recolor. So I'm going to tone it way back. You can see the butterfly is kind of hidden underneath there, and I want to bring him up more. There, got the butterflies. So I'm just going to click and drag to a higher layer, and you can see he's up. I like having layers above them because it adds more texture. So we're going to go in and image adjust curves again, and I'm going to brighten him, and then image hue saturation, and we're going to make him more of a blue-green. There, he mixes real nicely in there. We'll go, I think we have some more butterflies hidden in here. Let's bring up another butterfly. And image adjust hue saturation. And lastly, we will go to this yellow botanical, image adjust, replace color. And we just want to change the yellow. We could do a whole colorize, but that would also change the leaves. That is what I did in my page. But for this example, I'm going to show you how to do a more selective recoloring. All right, brighten it up a little bit. And there you go. You can see a completely different look than the, what you start with the page. And if you look here, you can see this is what I did with the page. I added some word art, I added stitch journalers, and I scaled things down a little bit too. But these are all the only things that were added that were not in the blendable layers were the stitch journaler and the word art. Everything else that you see here is in that blendable layers. So you can make an assortment of pages that all look different with just those 23 layers that come in the pack. So you can see, you can go this way, and let's go back and see what the page would look like here. Completely different looks, all from the same files. So lots of different options, ways you can play with this. We have an assortment of blendable layers in the store, and we have the Traveler blendable layers that work the same way. And even vintage blendable layers you can bring into a page and work like this as well. So I hope you enjoyed this little tutorial. I hope it gave you some new tips and tricks, and we'll be back again soon with some more tips and tricks. Thanks for watching.